Hello, everyone. I'm Julian David. I'm the CEO at Tech UK, and I want to welcome you to Tech UK's Ukraine Tech Day. I'm really pleased to be here today. This started out when we got involved in the Tech Bridge as Tech UK, and we've already had one event, and I've met a number of colleagues from Ukraine at that, alongside Daniel Clark, who leads on these matters for us. You're going to hear from quite a few Tech UK colleagues as we go through the afternoon, but let me start really just by saying it's great to have this connection between the best and the brightest of UK and Ukrainian tech sectors. Let's not be mistaken, this conference comes at a pivotal moment for Ukraine, for Europe, and for every part of Western society in the world. There is also the prospect now of a prolonged conflict in the Middle East, the prospect of a bit of winter, and of course, a lot of other events going on, including elections in many countries, this country, but also, very importantly, in the US. And that also could be a pivotal moment in the way we've been supporting each other, Ukraine, the UK, the US, and Europe. And that's why we need to make sure that the support between the UK and Ukraine is rock solid and steadfast. And as part of that, we're very proud to be involved in making tech a really strong part of that connection. Tech is a force multiplier, to use a sort of military term, but it's also applicable across many areas of civil and military society. It allows you to multiply the effectiveness of limited resources, and boy, have we seen that so far in terms of the match between Ukraine and Russia. And you see that very graphically in some of the, upsetting and disturbing but essential video of what's happening, where you see $1,000 drones actually stopping the advance of $500,000 tanks that we're trying to advance on Ukrainian cities, notably the capital. We've also seen the widespread adoption, really fast adoption of government in-app services. And those of you who haven't looked at that from the UK, and I'm sure many of you have as you're here today, it's really a lesson for us all, and something that I'm looking forward to us being able to adopt here in the UK, the same kind of speed, the same kind of online approach to government services, which we've somewhat struggled with in the UK. And what we've got to remember is, of course, although it's no doubt speeded up as it reacted to the challenge, the Ukraine tech economy didn't start at the point of the invasion. It's been growing at an average 30% year on year before the war. I'm conscious of the fact many of the Ukrainian colleagues in the audience know this, and perhaps some of UK people do as well. But I think that's a remarkable statistic. And remarkably, that tech economy was resilient enough to grow 6% in 2022. So the point of this conference and engaging with Ukraine's tech sector, yes, is something where we want to support, we want to help, but it's not primarily a matter of charity. It's a matter of opportunity for both countries. It's clear the foundations of a flourishing tech economy, transforming the broader economy, have been there for some time. And so we need to keep working and build on that and see this opportunity for investment collaboration. And we want to recognize that technology is a force for good. It transcends borders and ideologies, and it can unite people in pursuit of progress and peace. The tech sector is inherently global in its outlook. We know that at Tech UK. And so we know that our responsibilities extend beyond national borders. It's our duty to stand together with those who are striving to create a better future through technology, just as we try to do at Tech UK. And obviously for Ukraine, tech offers safety and security in the present, and also the hope for a better future. So I'm really proud that Tech UK members have already taken a leadership role in this, supporting the Ukrainian government, military, economy, and society, maintaining and repairing critical infrastructure, helping to support the education system through video sharing licensing, as well as cooperation on health tech, fintech, energy tech, drones, telecom support, satellite support. The tech sector and Tech UK members in particular have offered support that's both vast and varied. And our members have assisted on both a commercial and a pro bono basis for that. But of course, there's more we can do. And that's what today's afternoon event is about. Looking at the area of defence, for example, the UK's deep history of expertise, commitment to defence around the world and in the UK complements Ukraine's cutting-edge defence and cyber innovation. When it comes to EdTech and skills, the UK is a leading country in education at all levels, but particularly at our prestigious universities. And when it comes to startups, and many Ukrainian startups are here today and will be showcasing what they have to offer. Of course, you can see throughout the UK, but particularly here in London, many leading hubs for startups, particularly in things like fintech, which is quite obvious, but also in professional services and in deep tech. So we're determined at Tech UK to ensure that we play a leading role in coordinating this collaboration. And I can assure you this will not be the last event that Tech UK does in support of Ukraine. Together, we can help ensure that Ukraine's tech sector continues to thrive, innovation endures, and the people of Ukraine have access to the tools and knowledge to build a better future. So thank you for listening to me. I would like just to compliment my colleagues from Tech UK, particularly Daniel, who took the lead on organizing this and getting us all together. But you will hear from many more of them as we cover an agenda that's going to focus on skills and talent, defense, cyber, and also the broader opportunity for hearing from Ukraine startups. So without further ado, unfortunately, I cannot stay this afternoon because I have to go and meet the shadow minister talking about AI. You may have heard there's a bit of an AI conference here in London, just outside London, happening over the next 2 days, and Tech UK is participating in that. So we have to make a number of meetings, which popped into the diary after we selected this date, Dan. So I'm really delighted you're given me the opportunity to say welcome and to set up the day, I hope, in a way that's going to make it really rewarding. And I look forward to hearing the results. And as I said, we don't expect this to be the last engagement. We do expect to build some really strong partnerships, and we want to help with that. But I also need to thank, obviously, colleagues at Deloitte, one of our members, for providing us with the facility today. And I think you'll agree it's a pretty nice place to come and have a conference. And it's my duty now just to hand over to Jonathan Pell, who, as you can see, is the partner focused very much on international affairs here at Deloitte. So, Jonathan, over to you. Thank you.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Deloitte for Ukraine Tech Day, Recovery, Reconstruction and Opportunities. As Julian said, my name is Jonathan Pell, and I'm a partner here at Deloitte and lead our work in the foreign policy, trade and development sector. I'm also part of our global leadership team for our Ukraine reconstruction efforts, which we call the Future of Ukraine, which combines our on-the-ground presence in the country with our international capabilities to support our range of private sector and government clients across Ukraine. So when Tech UK asked if we might have some space to host today's event, for us, it was an easy yes. It's tech and it's Ukraine, both of which here at Deloitte we're passionate about. And when you look at the data, which Julian mentioned prior to me, it's easy to understand why we're passionate about it. Ukraine's tech sector was booming before the war. Our friends at the IT Association of Ukraine tell us that tech exports were up to $7 billion a year before the Russian invasion, built on a well-educated tech workforce that was servicing Europe, and startups with world-class capabilities ranging from robotics to AI. But even more remarkable is the fact that Ukraine's tech exports have continued to grow throughout the war. generating many inspiring stories of companies demonstrating the ability to adapt, innovate, and thrive. Now, you'll hear some of these stories today across defense tech, startups, cybersecurity, and edtech and skills. Now, I'm proud to say that Deloitte is one of the firms that has contributed to this growth. In Ukraine, we have 500 staff and another 200 that relocated to Poland, making us the largest professional services firm in the country. We've been operating continuously in the country throughout the invasion. Our staff are equally passionate about winning the economic war as they are winning the war on the battlefield. 150 of our staff in Ukraine, so nearly a third of them, are in our technology team, ranging from developers to cybersecurity experts who work in partnership with startups and small businesses in Ukraine's tech ecosystem. To provide just one example of our work in Ukraine, we're currently designing a national training program of cybersecurity for professionals working in the public sector in Ukraine. With funding from the German development agency GIZ, this project is part of a wider initiative launched by the government of Ukraine to improve resilience by setting up a nationwide cybersecurity program. And here in the UK, we've been working with colleagues at the Department of Business and Trade, that I can see over there, and the Foreign Commonwealth and Development Office on the UK-Ukraine Tech Bridge, which was announced by the UK Prime Minister earlier this year at the Ukraine Recovery Conference. The Tech Bridge will bring together the UK and Ukrainian tech sectors to harness opportunities for innovation and collaboration. We're looking forward to further supporting the URC next year as the host government passes from the UK over to Germany. So as a British, Ukrainian, and global company, Deloitte has recognized the opportunity for commercial and pro bono opportunities in Ukraine's tech sector. We hope that by doing so, we're playing our parts to support recovery and reconstruction in Ukraine. I hope that today you will find the opportunities that we've been able to access, and that by collaborating, we can combine the very best of the UK's and Ukraine's tech capabilities to the benefit of both countries. So thank you, and I hope you enjoy the day. And if you'll forgive my Ukrainian pronunciation, Slava Ukraini.
Hi, all, and thank you for having me here to speak to you today. I'm going to provide an overview of some of the concepts that will be discussed later today. As a bit of background, you may notice I have a different accent from a lot of the speakers here. This is certainly an issue very close to my own heart. I am, obviously, as my accent gives away, originally American, the descendant of a Ukrainian Jewish family that fled Russian pogroms for the United States, and then almost 15 years ago now came over to the UK to study Russian economic warfare, a trip that brought me to Ukraine many times and has shaped sort of the theories and ideas and research behind my book. But I think, it's very important to understand what exactly this economic war is, what is at stake in Russia's aggression against Ukraine and internationally. And for that, I think it's important to differentiate, say, between the trade war that's been going on between the West and China for the better part of the last decade with the economic war with Russia. And certainly, I think that the majority of attendees here would agree that it is in Europe's security interest to deter Russian aggression, to mean that its gains on the battlefield not only stop, but are rolled back so that we, the rest of us in Europe, as well as Ukrainians, can live in peace and not have fear of Russian tanks coming into other countries as well. Of course, Russia's invasion of Ukraine began almost a decade ago. It is its second war in Europe after the devastating conflict in Georgia in 2008, where Russia continues to occupy territory as well. But really, Russia is not only targeting Ukrainians, but it is targeting all of us with its economic war. And when I say that, what I mean is that Russia, and Vladimir Putin in particular, has a key aim of destroying the international economic order. The trade war with China is about the benefits and the sort of fruits, and maybe in the future who gets to set the rules of that international economic order, whereas Russia actively is trying to destroy that order. And we see that going back to 2013, when Ukrainians first bravely took to the streets in protest against a highly corrupt, kleptocratic, and Russian-controlled government at the time, where it was actually right here in the city of London that a bond was engineered that gave Russia the ability to threaten Ukraine into default. Russia used sanctions and trade weapons itself for the first time in this conflict, long before the West considered using them to deter Russia. And that bond in particular, and a number of the other Russian financial structures that were invented, were not only meant to indebt Ukraine and keep it as a vassal state to Russia, but also to fundamentally destroy the power of both private capital in lending to emerging markets and of institutions like the IMF. This is a war that gets much less attention, rightfully so, than the tragedies that occur on the battlefield and in cities far away from it, with Russia's missile and drone attacks in Ukraine. But for me, highlights the importance of this to everyone's interest, regardless of one's opinion on the security paradigms in Europe. And it is one that is very much still ongoing, right? You know, we see the BRICS summit just occurred a few months ago, where, of course, Vladimir Putin, because of the strength of that international economic order and the fact that countries like South Africa have enough investment in it to join the so-called rules-based order, where the economics really back it up. But Putin, of course, wanted the agenda of that conference to be about replacing the dollar and replacing a lot of these international financial institutions that underpin the trade, investment, and support, as well as actions like sanctions that hold Russia to account. Technology, however, both in that sanctions and economic battlefield, as well as on the battlefield itself in Ukraine, plays a crucial role. Some of the other speakers mentioned the role of drones, for example. One other incredible success story is Ukraine's naval drone warfare, and of course the satellite and other technology that has supported that, where on a shoestring budget, the entire power of the Russian Black Sea Fleet has been greatly degraded. That, of course, then in turn enables Ukrainian shipping, some, sadly not enough, but hopefully more, as Ukraine's defenses and technology support is forthcoming, for Ukrainian grain to get out via the ports in the west of Odessa Oblast to the international market. Technology, however, plays a role not only in supporting Ukraine, but of course in restricting Russia. Russia itself uses drones in this conflict. We've seen, in particular, it get support from Iran in developing the Shahed drones that on a nightly basis rain down terror upon Ukraine, as well as in Russia's wider military machine. So a lot of the focus now in sanctions has shifted, right? Sanctions target both the supply and the demand in Russia. Its supply of dollars and hard currency, how much it can earn. We see that, for example, with the oil price cap or the sanctions on Russia's central bank. But now really it's about Russia's ability to buy crucial technologies from the West. These include CNC machines, of course, computer chips, engines, and a number of others that you now find on government's restricted export lists. One thing that's particularly key to how technology plays a role in this conflict going forward and in future conflicts is, of course, Russia doesn't like to buy the latest machine tools and CNCs because they can be shut down via the cloud. So it goes for ones that are 10 years older. And this is an ever-evolving part of the conflict, but both there's an important role in restricting technology access for Russia and in helping Ukraine develop its own technology, as well as providing it with the Western technological support where possible. This makes Ukraine a very fascinating and unique market for British companies, British investors, and the British government in particular. Ukrainian IT and technology skills have been tested in a way that, frankly, no other has. Ukraine has long had a very valuable and resilient tech sector. Many coders come from the country. In my own experience of traveling to other nations in the region, of course, we saw a large number of Ukrainians in essentially forced into exile by Russia's war in countries like Serbia and Tbilisi and Georgia and Armenia in particular. Many of them have gone and moved their businesses there, but also just as many, in my experience in the last 6 months, have gone back despite Ukraine's Russia's continued invasion and the horrors that enables. So Ukraine's technology and its own developments are really frontline and battlefield tested. As sad a reality as that is, I think it provides a particularly unique opportunity, not only for defense-related technologies, which, as we just discussed, are going to be at the future of this conflict, but also for others, in particular the cyber sector. No country has undergone as sustained a cyber war with, as we have to admit it, in cyber, a powerful adversary in Russia, and really will have lessons not only for the immediate future, but for the long-term buildup of resiliency in our electricity grids, in our internet infrastructure, and in the technologies of the future as we move to this world in AI and so much that's going on in the other conference. But, I think that's really the important point, is to understand that the city of London around here has just as much power, if not more power, than Westminster does to really shape the future of this conflict. And so I'm so glad to see so many attendees here. And I'll just wrap up with, of course, highlighting Britain's role, which has now changed. Britain in particular has played a crucial role in supporting Ukraine from the very beginning in 2014, leading the charge then within the European Union for the development of technology sanctions against Russia and actually enforcing them, which is something that, sadly, for much of the conflict after 2014, many European countries were lacking in. We saw European technology go into building the bridge in Crimea or supporting the Russian weapons industry. Britain has been a much better and more supportive partner there, and I think will continue to play a leading role going forward. We saw a number of Ukrainian politicians in recent weeks say, well, the one election they're not worried about in terms of support for Ukraine and understanding what's at stake is the UK election next year. British institutions have played a key role in developing a lot of this and continue to offer support, whether that's UK Export Finance or in particular the Lloyd's of London market just down the street here, which plays the crucial role in backing up the insurance structures needed to not only support future investment in Ukraine, but in the very short term, support that shipping and the like. And I think that role, in my experience in Ukraine, is really deeply appreciated. Sometimes I wish I could fake a British accent. Sadly, I speak Russian, not Ukrainian, but because I think I would be better received. And so I really am so thrilled to see so many people here. And of course, I'm happy to answer any of your questions later about some of the historical aspects of this conflict. But I really look forward to being here and hearing everybody else's ideas and suggestions and how we're going to all work together to make this a success going forward. And thank you so much.